My name is Zach Caseberg. I'm a dietetic intern working on a master's in nutrition and dietetics at Illinois State University in Normal, Illinois. Today I'm going to be talking about what we have upcoming in March, which is National Nutrition Month, where dietitians can speak out to the American population and talk about some nutrition habits to work on. I'm going to be talking about learning skills to create tasty meals and incorporating of ingredients you should always have on hand, home food safety, sharing meals together, reducing food waste, and trying new flavors and foods. What I'm going to be reviewing today are some recipes that I created at my clinical rotation for Pulmonary Rehab Week. March 8th through March 14th is Pulmonary Rehabilitation Awareness Week, where we need to meet the needs of our pulmonary rehabilitation patients who tend to need to have recipes that are very simple, much like the rest of us if we're short on time or if we're short on energy. It's tough to get into the kitchen and cook, so I'm going to be covering some recipes that are very low prep and cook time. The first one is a one-pan recipe that is becoming increasingly more popular. It is a one-pan salmon and Brussels sprouts. Prep time is about 5 minutes using ingredients that are relatively already complete and prepped. Cook time is 30 minutes and it serves 2 people. The ingredients I chose to have on hand for this recipe I wanted to start with is a frozen vegetable. I tend to love to go with frozen vegetables, especially when I know I can't get something fresh. Then I'm going to go with something that's frozen to have on hand. The benefit of frozen vegetables is they can be really on hand and pulled out very quickly, thrown on a pan and tossed in some olive oil or some type of oil and roasted easily, or they can be boiled to the consistency that you want. I also wanted to point out that you have options as far as fresh ingredients or not, so you can go with fresh lemon juice or just buy lemon juice you keep in the fridge. Dried thyme and dried herbs is a good thing to always have on hand if you don't have parsley, cilantro for a recipe or oregano. So it's good to have something like that on hand to make your food taste a little bit better without maybe adding salt or extra sodium. And then I always use balsamic vinegar and olive oil to make foods taste better without using sodium. So for these recipes, it's relatively simple. You really just mix all the ingredients on one pan and then roast it all together before serving. The next recipe I wanted to talk about is a 3-minute breakfast smoothie. This is the smoothie that I do at home. It is basically takes ingredients of using spinach. I tend to have trouble getting vegetables in the morning, so I tend to use spinach in smoothies to help get a little kick of some vegetables to start my day. I use frozen fruit a lot of the time to make it a nice frozen smoothie, plant-based or cow's milk, and then I added some yogurt to basically just add a little bit of extra protein. The ground flaxseed from this is something that's relatively shelf stable, and you can basically use it as a healthy fat to add to most things. And then using stevia as an option instead of any type of sugar to make it taste sweeter if that's what you crave. But a tip for this is to blend your ingredients very thoroughly, spinach especially, but you won't taste the spinach if you spend a lot of time actually blending it up. So in 3 minutes, you have a breakfast that's on the run. The last recipe I wanted to talk about is another breakfast recipe, which is a breakfast black bean and corn tacos. Prep time on this is 5 minutes because we use a lot of ingredients that we have on hand. Cook time is about 10 minutes and then it serves 2 people. So things that I wanted to have on hand for this recipe were having some low sodium black beans and corn is a good way to go because then I will actually rinse those canned vegetables and shed some more sodium off of them so that I don't retain too much water with that. I choose some eggs or egg whites to add as some extra protein, and avocado to top as a good consistency, a good color, it's attractive, and for some healthy fats. With the corn tortillas, they're very good use because they're a decently low carb tortilla that you can use and they're very easy to use. So what I'll do is I'll put them on a plate with a damp paper towel and microwave them, or I'll just cook them in a skillet with a little bit of oil if needed. But with this recipe, you can use a low sodium taco seasoning, and you now have kind of a closer to plant-based breakfast to go with where you didn't have to chop a lot of ingredients. You could have diced tomatoes on hand, olive oil for the extra healthy fats, and through this you can use 4 tortillas and serve 2 people. Now this recipe does provide a good amount of carbohydrates to someone, but it also provides about 15 grams of protein per person. So it's a great way to kind of start off the morning and give you something a little bit different than your usual oatmeal and eggs. That concludes what I wanted to talk about today. Just remember to read different recipe books, use all your resources